Hi and welcome back to my channel. Yeah, that's right, today we're making a lentil stew for £1, so let's get started. This recipe is actually my grandma's and I'm gonna be following her recipe, but I'm gonna change some things just because I like them more like this. But it's basically gonna be the traditional lentil stew she's always made, and we're gonna make a family serving because that's what I do when I make lentils. I make a huge pot because I think that's way better, and then we have lentils for a long time. So the total price is about £1 per person, but the family size is less than 5. It's actually £4.60. So let's start cooking. I've been wanting to show you this recipe for a long time because it's a recipe that I really like, that reminds me a lot of my grandma, and that it's basically a really typical Spanish recipe, I would say, because I think everyone has tried this lentil stew in one way or another. So first thing we're gonna do is soak our lentils. You don't really have to do that, it also depends on which lentils you're using, but I don't think it takes that much time. I just check how many lentils I want, I put some warm water and I leave it there until it's time to add the lentils. So it's basically gonna be soaking for 10-15 minutes while I cut and prepare everything else, which is not that big of a deal. So yeah, that's what I do. I would usually cut all the veggies first and then just go to the pot and start adding the things, but I'm gonna go step by step. And the first step is gonna be the meat. And before I start with that, I want to say that if you want to make them vegan, it's also super easy. You just add, I would add more paprika or smoked paprika on the spices, which I'm going to tell you more later on. And instead of the meat, you just add more veggies. But while that's soaking, first thing we're gonna add to our pot is gonna be our meat. And for that, we're gonna be using some chorizo and some chicken. And you can do it with any other meat. Actually, my grandma doesn't use chicken, but that's just what I like, so I prefer to use chicken. So I'm gonna add one chicken breast, which is around £1.50, and I'm gonna cut it in big cubes because that's gonna boil with our lentils, so I don't want to make them too thin because then it's gonna get dry. And for the chorizo, I found this in Morrison's, but I haven't had any trouble finding chorizo in the UK because apparently people love it here. The only thing that I'm worried about is that they only have spicy chorizo, and I mean, chorizo doesn't need to be spicy, but
yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
And for the chorizo, I'm gonna cut just half because I don't think it needs more. Half is enough to give it the flavor we're looking for, and then you can save the other half for the next time you make lentils. When we have all the meat cut, we're gonna put some oil in the pot and we're gonna add our meat, and we're gonna fry it just at a high temperature for like 1 minute, just until it gets some color, because we don't want it to fully cook, because as I said, we're gonna throw it in later on. So it's just a little bit so they release some of the flavor, and then we're gonna take it out again. Then you're gonna see this oil that turns completely orange red, and that's what we're looking for. Next is our onion and garlic. I'm gonna use just one onion, which is around 20p, and then I'm also gonna add 2 cloves of garlic. You can add more or less depending how much you like it, but I like it a lot, so I'm gonna add 2 big ones, which I checked better this time and it was around less than 4p. So yeah, we're gonna cut these 2 things and we're gonna add them in the oil. We just need it to cook for some minutes until it gets a little bit more soft. And next thing is gonna be our pepper. You can also omit that if you don't like any of the ingredients, but I mean, if you're not vegan, please do not take the chorizo out, it's never gonna be the same. So for the pepper, I'm using half of a red bell pepper, which is around 24p. I'm gonna cut it in small pieces and I'm gonna add it to the onion, because these are the 3 things that I want to cook for longer. And I'm also gonna add in the spices, and in this recipe I'm only using salt, pepper and paprika. And then another thing that is also important is some tomato paste. You can add tomato sauce or even fresh tomatoes, whatever you have, but in this case I'm using tomato paste, just about 1 tablespoon. And then I'm also gonna add some bay leaves. And I think bay leaves are really important in this recipe because it's the flavor that stands out the most, I would say. So in this case I added 3 bay leaves. You can add more or less, but I would totally put it in because I feel like that's the whole flavor of the recipe, this and the chorizo. And then next thing is gonna be some white wine. You don't need to spend a lot of money here. I'm basically using the cheapest one I found in the store, and I'm only putting in around 80 milliliters, and it's not essential, but I feel like the flavor that it gets, it's really good, and that's how my grandma makes it. So we're adding some white wine. And here we need to wait until all the alcohol evaporates and everything is kind of a paste again. And then the next thing that's gonna get in is our potato and carrot. You can add both, you can add just one, whatever you prefer. And I cut them in bigger chunks than the other veggies because it's kind of the pieces that you're gonna find next to the meat. And what I do is that I cut the carrot smaller than the potato just because I feel like it usually takes longer to cook, and I'm gonna throw them in at the same time, so that's why, like, this is the size reference that I use. And we're gonna throw them in the pot. We're also gonna rinse the lentils and we're gonna add them and mix everything together, and we're gonna also add here the broth. So for this recipe you can use broth or just water because you have the flavors of everything we've been putting in, but I like to put 1 cube of broth. I think that's enough, and the rest is just water until I cover the whole thing, and even a little bit extra because I like them to be runny and not like just lentils. I want the broth, I want the juice, so I put extra on top, like about this I would say, yeah. And last thing is that we're gonna add the meat that we took out before. We're gonna put it in and we're gonna cover it and let it boil for about half an hour or until everything is cooked and soft. And after this half an hour, that's how the lentils look. They smell so good. All the house is gonna smell like lentils and you're not gonna regret it, I promise you. As you can see, the portion is really big. We're actually two, just me and my boyfriend, and we have lentils for like 3-4 days. So I would say it's totally enough to feed a family of 4 or 5. You're gonna have enough for everyone for sure. And the total price for the whole thing is £4.60, which is around £1 per person, but I would be around, yeah, 4 or 5 people in this whole pot, so it's gonna be a little bit more or less. So it's really cheap, really easy to make. You just put everything in and let it boil. So I really hope you try it out, and it's also really nice for me to show you because it's my grandma's recipe, as I've said like 4 times already, but I'm really happy to be sharing it with everyone, and I really hope you try it out. And with that said, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up because that really helps the channel, and leave a comment down below if you want to see more videos like this. This is the second one. I already did one of a Thai curry that it's super easy to make for less than £2, and you can see it up here. So if you want to see more videos on a budget, I'm really enjoying checking how much I'm spending on each meal I'm doing, so it's really fun to make. So if you want to see more, let me know. And with that said, remember to subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and to follow me on Instagram because I'm posting a lot of recipes there. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Our broth. No. I'm using half of a red bell.